You know Rocky Balboa, right? The ultimate underdog. But what if I told you the guy who created him lived an even crazier, even more unbelievable underdog story? Well, get ready, because this is the story of Sylvester Stallone, whose own fight to the top is the stuff of Hollywood legend.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. On one side, you have the icon, a global superstar, the mind behind Rocky and Rambo, a guy with a career spanning 6 decades. And on the other side, the outcast, a homeless man with a paralyzed face, constantly told he walked and talked funny. So the big question is, how on earth did he get from there to here?
To understand Stallone, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. His journey was a fight for survival, literally, from the moment he was born. I mean, from day one, this guy was up against it.
Okay, so here's something wild. His most iconic features, they weren't a choice. They were an accident. During his birth, there was a complication, a slip-up with forceps that actually severed a nerve, leaving the lower left side of his face permanently paralyzed.
And that one accident, well, it created everything we recognize him for. That signature snarling look, that famously slurred speech. As an adult, they became his trademarks, right? But as a kid, yeah, not so much. It was a curse. He was bullied relentlessly, even got expelled from a bunch of schools. The very things that made him unique also made him a total outcast.
So, fast forward to the early 1970s. His dream of being an actor in New York, it was pretty much dead in the water. He hit a low point that is honestly hard to even imagine. As he put it himself, he was at the absolute end of his rope.
So just how bad was it? Let's just put it in numbers. First off, his bank account. He had exactly $106. That's it, total.
After getting kicked out of his apartment, where did he go? For 3 straight weeks, he was homeless, sleeping in New York's Port Authority bus terminal.
But this next one, this is the one that just guts you. He was so broke, so desperate for food, he had to sell his best friend, his dog, Butkus, for $25. Just listen to what he said about it. "I sold my dog Butkus to a stranger outside a 7-Eleven because I couldn't afford to feed him. It was the lowest I've ever been." I mean, can you even imagine that? That's not just rock bottom. That is a whole other level of desperation.
But it's right here, at his absolute lowest point, that the whole story pivots. A single moment of inspiration leads to one of the biggest, craziest gambles Hollywood has ever seen. He wanders into a bar to get out of the cold and watches a boxing match. A huge underdog named Chuck Wepner is somehow going toe-to-toe with the great Muhammad Ali. And seeing that incredible display of heart, something just clicks. Stallone runs home, and in this insane, caffeine-fueled 3-day marathon, he hammers out the entire script for Rocky.
So he starts shopping the script around. And you know what? Producers love it. They see a hit. And they make him an offer. $360,000. For a guy who was just sleeping in a bus station, that's like winning the lottery 10 times over. But, and this is a massive but, there was a crushing catch. They loved the script, but they didn't want him. They wanted a real movie star, you know, someone like Robert Redford or Burt Reynolds. They flat out refused to let this unknown actor who walked and talked funny play the part he wrote for himself.
So put yourself in his shoes for a second. You've got a baby on the way, you've got about $100 to your name, and there is a life-changing fortune sitting right there on the table. All you have to do is sell your story and walk away. What would you do?
Well, he turned it down. He refused the money. He bet everything on himself. And boy, did that bet pay off in a way nobody could have possibly seen coming.
So let's just look at the 2 deals on the table. He turned down a fortune, and instead, he took just $35,000, less than a tenth of the original offer, with one condition that he would not budge on. He had to play Rocky Balboa. He chose the dream over the money. Period.
And this right here tells you everything you need to know about the guy. The very first thing he did with that 35 grand, he went straight back to that 7-Eleven, tracked down the man he'd sold his dog to, and bought Butkus back. And get this, the price was $15,000. He spent nearly half of everything he had just to get his best friend back.
So what happened with his big gamble? Well, Rocky, a movie shot on a shoestring budget in just 28 days, became a cultural phenomenon. It won the Oscar for Best Picture, and Stallone himself was nominated for both Best Actor and Best Original Screenplay, joining a super exclusive club with guys like Charlie Chaplin and Orson Welles. I mean, come on.
And he wasn't a one-hit wonder.
In 1982, he gave the world another icon, John Rambo. If Rocky represented the American dream, Rambo, well, he was the American nightmare, a powerful symbol for a whole generation of veterans who felt left behind.
But Stallone's story doesn't just end in the 80s, not even close. Just like his characters, his entire career has been defined by one thing: getting knocked down and getting right back up to prove everybody wrong again and again.
Just look at this timeline of his unbelievable resilience. In 2006, when everyone said he was finished, he came back with Rocky Balboa. Then, almost 40 years after creating the character, he got another Oscar nomination for playing him in Creed. Every single time the world counted him out, he came roaring back.
And if you need just one stat, one single fact to really understand his legacy, this is it. Sylvester Stallone is the only actor in history to have a #1 box office hit in 6 consecutive decades: the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and the 2020s. That kind of staying power is just unheard of.
And really, in the end, his entire life, his entire story, comes down to the most famous line he ever wrote. It was never about how hard he could hit. It was always about how hard he could get hit by poverty, by rejection, by failure, and still find a way to keep moving forward. That wasn't just a line for Rocky Balboa. That was Sylvester Stallone.